Hello, Julie here and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to share with you a layout I created for Mystical Scrapbooks October Cybercrop. The theme for the month is Sketch Plus, and I'm happy to share with you my first ever sketch that I've created, and the plus for this challenge is to use a punch on your layout. Papers I'm going to use for this layout are Simple Stories paper from the Hello Summer paper range. I'll have a quick flip through here so you can see which papers they are. I'll also use some black cardstock and some Kraft cardstock. This Memory Maze chipboard will also be on my layout. I've decided to use the Kraft cardstock as my base, and I'm using this page here called Catching Rays. I'm going to cut that so that it's 9 inches by 11 inches. The next paper I'm using is called Life is Good, and I'm going to cut that so that it's 4 inches wide and 12 inches long. My plan is to back both of those pieces of pattern paper with black cardstock. So I cut one piece 9 1/4 inches by 11 1/4 inches, so I've got a 1/8 of an inch border all the way around the pattern paper, and then I cut two strips of paper that are 3/4 of an inch by 12 inches to go down each edge of that striped pattern paper. Now I'm trying to decide which paper to use for my circles on my layout. I can't decide whether to use the greeny one with the white wiggly lines or the white with the black spot. I end up going with the turquoisey greeny colour, and I used my Big Shot and my Spellbinder circles die to cut 3 circles in varying sizes. One is 2 1/2 inches in diameter, one is 3 inches, and the other one is 1 3/4 inches. Now I'm going to use my black Versacolour ink cube to ink around the edge of all of my papers. I like to ink around the edge of my papers because it gives the paper a nice definition. I decide that for the rectangle on the lower left of the layout, I'm going to actually make it a tag instead of a rectangle. So I go ahead and cut that. I use the same paper that I used for the circles, but I'm actually going to use the back of it, which is a floral print. And I'm now cutting down the corners. Once I've got my card cut to the correct size, I ink around the edges of it, and then I stick it onto some black cardstock and cut around it using my trimmer so that I've got a nice fine border around it. Then use my scissors just to cut off the top corner pieces. That way my tag is matted on the black cardstock, the same as my other pattern paper. Now I'm going to use the reverse side of this white spotty paper, which is called Peace, Love and Pineapples, so it's got pineapples on it. I'm going to cut that into a 1 inch strip, and I'm going to use a Martha Stewart scallop punch to punch along one edge of that strip. I also ink along the edges of this piece of pattern paper. At this stage I was going to use the black and white spot, but I have a change of heart and end up inking the other side. I cut 2 pieces of the strip, one's 3 1/2 inches long and one's 2 1/2 inches long. photos I'm using on this layout are 4 inches square, so now I'm going to cut my photo mats. I'm going to cut them so that they're 4¼ inches by 4¼ inches. A little bit of fiddling around here to see if I'm happy where everything is sitting and what it looks like. I've used my crocodile and some We Are Memory Keepers eyelets, black, to put an eyelet in my tag. Now I'm going to use some crochet cotton to thread through that eyelet. I can't decide whether to use black or white, so in the end I use both. Time now to add some interest to my background. I'm going to use this Kraft clear stamp called Stains, and the one that looks like a paint splat, and I'm going to use some Distress Oxide ink in Cracked Pistachio and just stamp randomly down the edges of the paper because the middle's basically covered up with the pattern paper. I've just got these new Distress Oxide inks and I thought I'd give them a go. From the same stamp set, I'm going to use the little paint splashes and just stamp that with my Stays On jet black ink to add a bit more to the page. The green doesn't stand out very well in the photos here, but in real life it is more noticeable. I'm going to paint my chipboard now. It's a Memory Maze arrow words, and this one is Kiss Sweet. I'm going to put links to all of these things in the description box if you're interested in having a look at them. And the paint that I'm using is from my ceramic days, and it's a Duncan acrylic paint called Electric Green. I use a soft brush to apply a coat of paint to the chipboard, and because this chipboard is quite fiddly, it does take me a bit of effort to get all the paint out of all the little spaces that are in the word. Time now to start assembling my page. I'm going to use mostly double-sided tape to do this. I have put double-sided tape on the back of all of my pieces off screen, and I'm now going to put the layout together following the sketch basically. At this stage I only had one photo, so I filed around the edge of the photo with an emery board and attached that to the photo mat, and I have to go and get the other photo printed. So when I have got that printed, I will do exactly the same to that. So file around the edge and attach it to the photo mat. I'm going to attach the photo mat to the layout now so that I just have to put the photo on when I get it. I've fussy cut some of the flowers from the back of the paper that I used for the tag, which was called Oh Happy Day, and I'm going to just play around with them, position them behind the photo and see what I can come up with. Once I'm happy with the layout, I will attach those to the page with either foam tape or glue. I did forget to mention that at the back of the photos I have stuck a piece of chipboard so that the photos are a little higher than the layout. Now that the paint on my chipboard is dry, I play around with where I want to position it. I find it gets lost in here, and that's the place I want it to go, so I'm trying to work out how I can make it stand out from the background. What I decide to do is to mount it on a piece of black chipboard and then roughly fussy cut around it. I use black cardstock to create my title, and I cut braids, which is what she's had done to her hair here, using my Kraft DD 700 alphabet uppercase dies, and then I use glue and my T-ruler to attach them to the page. Time now to attach my chipboard. I use some foam tape to attach that to the layout so that it sits level. Because the photo is on chipboard, I need to put foam tape on the left hand edge of the chipboard and just glue to the part that's on top of the photo. It's the next day now and I have got my second photo printed, so I'm going to attach that to the layout. As I said previously, I have filed around the edge of the photo with an emery board. Now that the second photo's in place, I can go ahead and finish embellishing with my fussy cut flowers. I have added quite a few of the fussy cut flowers to this layout, and it does take a bit of time to attach them all. I hope you've enjoyed looking at the video today, and I hope you'll pop back and have a look at my next video. Pop on over to Mystical Scrapbooks on their blog and their Facebook page, and I'll put a link below. They have a cyber crop weekend, and it goes from the Friday night to the Sunday night. There are 3 different challenges in the cyber crop. This is just one of them. So yeah, check it out. And there's prizes, so you may well win something very nice. Okay, well thanks for watching, and I hope you'll join me for my next video.